What if the biggest risk today isn't a crisis, but a silent shift in global capital flows? A move called Sell America is starting to gain momentum, and almost nobody is explaining what it really means for your portfolio. Behind the scenes on Wall Street, global asset managers are asking a very uncomfortable question. What if risk in the United States is changing? There's a growing discussion around a potential Sell America move. In practical terms, that means a strategic reduction in exposure to U.S. assets. Now, before we go any further, I'm Chad, your host here at Zero Markets, and our commitment is very simple. We want to help you think like a global investor, not a market fan. And no, this isn't panic, it's perception. Perception of greater political unpredictability with debates over tariffs, geopolitical tensions, and most importantly, questions surrounding the independence of the Federal Reserve. And the market doesn't wait for confirmation, it reacts to doubt. If there's even a slight perception of interference in monetary policy, investors demand a higher premium. And when the premium rises, yield rises. And when yields rise, the entire system reprices. Now, let me ask you a very honest question. When you hear Sell America, do you think collapse? Because that may be the wrong interpretation. This is not an exodus, it's repositioning. The world has changed. Capital isn't patriotic. Capital is rational. It seeks predictability. It seeks institutional stability. It seeks risk-adjusted returns. If large global investors begin to see institutional noise, they reduce concentration, and not out of fear, but out of discipline. Now, imagine you manage a sovereign wealth fund with a 30-year horizon. Would you ignore any noise involving U.S. monetary policy? Of course not. Even nothing changes structurally, mere uncertainty already affects pricing. Long-term treasuries demand a higher premium. A higher premium means higher rates, and higher rates compress valuations, increase borrowing costs, pressure mortgages, shift corporate decision-making. And that's where the Sell America move starts to show up where it matters. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, they're giants. They're highly liquid and they're very widely held. And when you need to sell quickly, you sell what's liquid, not because it lost quality, but because it's efficient. And here's the detail almost nobody talks about. The S&P 500 is heavily concentrated in these companies. So many investors who believe they're diversified are actually concentrated. Notice how this isn't emotional, it's structural. Now widen the lens to a global view. If the dollar weakens in a Sell America scenario, emerging markets get relief. Commodities gain support, and European and Asian markets, often trading at lower multiples, start to look a lot more attractive. You see, capital doesn't disappear, it reallocates. Now, maybe the real question isn't, will America lose, but rather, could global flows become less concentrated? This isn't collapse, it's a redistribution of financial power. And when the system questions institutional predictability, gold comes back into focus because it doesn't depend on government. It doesn't depend on monetary policy. It doesn't depend on the narrative. It depends on trust. Now, pay attention. Sell America doesn't mean abandoning the United States. The US remains the most innovative economy on the planet. A leader in technology, a leader in artificial intelligence, with the most liquid capital markets in the world. But ignoring shift in capital flows is a strategic mistake. If the Sell America move evolves, excessive concentration becomes vulnerability. And the smart investor does four things. It reviews concentration, it prioritizes quality, it diversifies geographically, and adjusts rationally, not emotionally. Because in the end, capital flows are math. Narratives change. Politicians change. Cycles change. But capital always finds the best balance between risk and return every single time. If you want us to create a full breakdown on how to build a global portfolio prepared for a Sell America scenario, comment global below. And subscribe to the Zero Markets channel, because here we don't react to the market. We understand the move before it becomes consensus.